Hi everyone, it's quarter two this week, and welcome to this 5-day challenge. It's day one of your week of possibility. And this is a week when we are going to work at transforming ordinary weeks into extraordinary results for your next season. Now, if you're catching this on the live stream or you're listening on the podcast and you're not yet part of this challenge, go to worldshapingleadership.com to sign up for free and you will receive the strategically weekly planner. That's important because this challenge is created around that planner and that will enable you to implement what we're talking about. I'm so excited you're here. And before we go any further, I just want to introduce myself in case you don't know me. My name is Anna Joy Rickard. I'm a leadership coach and foreign affairs advisor, and I support people and organizations with world shaping ideas and world shaping leadership. And in my coaching, I work with people, perhaps like you, who are accomplished professionals secretly wanting a new venture, legacy defining impact, or a complete lifestyle redesign. And so we are going to jump straight in to today's training. I want just to take a minute before we jump in for each of us to think about what intention we're bringing to this challenge. What intention are you bringing to this week? What made you sign up for it? Or what made you stop and listen on the podcast or on the live stream? The biggest question I want to ask is, what is your intention for this quarter? Why do you want to look at how your weeks are held together and aim for something more? That's great. I want to bake in that intention at the beginning because the energy that you bring and the commitment that you bring to this challenge will make a difference to what it feels like on the other side. And the second thing I want to talk about is a foundational concept that I am bringing to the challenge this week. I believe that there are more opportunities and possibilities for each of us than we can imagine right now. Our brains are very good at doing their first and foremost function of keeping us safe and keeping us secure. And therefore, we're very good at limiting what might be possible for ourselves. We have limiting beliefs, or we have the neuro paths that we've always used. And so we are probably limiting what is possible for us in the next season. And so I wanted us to take a breath, and I want this week to be expansive. No stress, no overwhelm, and leaving the frustrations behind that we perhaps bring when we think about what we're trying to aim for or achieve. And I really want to encourage each one of you. I believe there is something even more wonderful just around the corner for you. And there are opportunities and possibilities that you haven't even thought about yet, but that are inside you, and we are going to start to unpack them this week. So, we're going to the first two concepts of this day one of the challenge. The first one is an oldie but a goodie, and we are going to unpack it for what it means for us right now. And that is the concept of big rocks. So I'm going to read the story out. You've probably heard it before. It's from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One day a teacher was speaking to a group of students. He pulled out an extremely large jar and sat it on a table. Then he produced about a dozen big rocks and placed them once at a time into the jar. When the jar was filled to the top and no more rocks would fit inside, he asked, "Is this jar full?" Everyone said yes. Really? He asked. Let's see. He took out some gravel and dumped it in. He shook the jar, causing the pieces to fall into the spaces between the big rocks. He asked the students again, "Is the jar full?" His class was catching on. "Probably not," one of them answered. "Very good," he replied. He brought out a bucket of sand. He dumped the sand in, and it went into all the spaces between the rocks and the gravel. Then he asked, "Is this jar full?" "No," the class shouted. "Excellent," he replied. Then he grabbed a pitcher of water and poured it in until the jar was filled to the brim. The teacher looked intently back at the students and asked, "What is the point of this illustration?" One student said, "You can always fit more things into your life if you really work at it." The teacher said, "That's true, but it's not the point of this illustration." He said, "The point is, if you don't put the big rocks in first, would you have got any of them in?" And so let's look at the big rocks in our week this week and perhaps wider in the quarter ahead. Now, I'm hazarding a guess that if you're an accomplished professional and if you're here and are interested in this kind of challenge, then you're probably pretty good at prioritizing, particularly at work. I imagine you're used to turning up and organizing according to what projects need to get done, what milestones need to be met. But I want us to think about, when we think about work this week, what is going to really move the needle? In a year's time, if you looked back to now, what would really move the needle for you to have worked on? And bigger than that, I want us to ask the same question about life. It can be easy to get the work priorities because they're the milestones we're trying to meet. But what about life? What are the big, important rocks in life that we want to get into our week this week? And then I'm going to push us just that little bit further to say, are there bigger life goals or dreams or desires in your heart that only you mull on, that you would like to get into this week? There's amazing time management research that shows that even just spending 20 minutes or half an hour a day on some of these bigger dreams or longer term skills that we want to learn or ways that we want to reinvent ourselves adds up to an incredible amount if you just spend a tiny bit of time each day committed to doing those things. So, which are the big rocks that you really want in life this week? And I want to just sound a note of caution, just to remind us that the reason that we have to get the rocks in at the beginning and the reason that the sand fills up the space otherwise is the sand, if we think about it as the small admin tasks, the to-do things, they actually make us feel really good when we do them. It's like tick, 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 I've done these little things. And particularly when we are procrastinating or when we actually want to do something big and significant in our life, it's so easy to revert to the little tick things to make us feel good and avoid those bigger things. And that's something we have to watch out for. So, I've got two core questions for you today to work on this big rock concept. They are in your strategic weekly planner. They are, firstly, what are your three big rocks this week that truly move the needle? Include one that links to a bigger life goal. And you may have a sense of this, or you might still be working on this. And these bigger life goals are the things that I support people with in my wider coaching work. But you can put in whatever comes to you right now. Secondly, what small stones, and sand might typically distract you from these priorities. So have a think about those things later on with your planner and make a note of them or write them on your phone. But even taking just a few minutes on this can radically shift what your week looks like. And now we're going to come on to the second concept for this day one. And that is, what doesn't serve you anymore? So absolutely crucial for a transformation of your week is finding more space in your week. And the key for making more space, of course, is being able to say no to some things and to create more space in the week. And therefore, we are going to have to let go of some of the things that crowd out other things that aren't so important. And the tool that I want to offer to you today to do this is asking what doesn't serve you anymore. Now, an easy way to do this is just to recognize that there are some things that will be in your week that used to serve you. They either were genuinely important things in your life before, or they served a certain purpose of how they made you feel, how they kept you safe and secure or kept you encouraged in what you were doing and how you were going about life. But that doesn't mean they're right for this next season. And so I want you to really look at this week. I'm going to give you an exercise to look at what could you let go of because it doesn't serve you for your next season and for how you want to be showing up in the world now. And I want us to start practicing, and we're going to do this each day this week. Practice really tuning in to ourselves. And we might call this inner wisdom, we might call this tuning into your gut or your heart or your instinct. But I want us to get really good at listening to ourselves inside about what really matters and what aligns with who we are and what we want to create in the world. So the exercise, again, it's in your planner, is identify 3 things that no longer serve you: habits, beliefs, or commitments. Write down why they did once serve you, why they served a purpose, and now how they limit you. And so my invitation to you after this training, and thank you for joining me and getting this far in it, is to sit down and reflect just for a little bit with your planner on these 2 things: the big rocks, your 2 core questions, and on what no longer serves you, and the exercise there. And then immediately to make changes in your schedule for this week, or perhaps for this quarter if you're diving into it in a bigger way. Thank you for joining. Thank you for getting this far. I know this is going to lead to some aha moments already. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 2 of the challenge.